Amanda, thank you for joining me today on Working Lunch. For those people listening, can you, how did we meet? Like, how do we know each other? Because I guess we don't really know each other, but I feel like I've known you for a long time. So, can you just explain to our audience how we met and how we know each other?
Yeah, we actually met through a church that we both went to, I think 10 years ago,
Yeah.
right? 10 years ago. So I think that we were always in each other's presence, but I don't think we ever fully knew the details or knew about each other.
I know, and then life, happened, and we kind of went in our different career directions, and then all of a sudden, I'm seeing you online with this company, and seeing what you're doing in the community, and I don't know, it's just cool how bringing it full circle, bringing it back. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you go to school? What did you study? And what brought you to the industry that you're in?
Well, that part is interesting. I went to high school at Broadalbin, Perth, which is out past Amsterdam for people who have no idea what I'm talking about. And then I studied college at Schenectady County Community College. I actually studied human resources and chemical dependency counseling because I thought that I was going to work in the foster care system for my life. But sometimes life has a funny change of direction, and now I own an HVAC heating and cooling company. So
The same thing.
yeah, actually, the way I got into it was I got a job in accounting, and then I quickly became the accounting manager. So I started to learn a lot about business and numbers, and I eventually had left there. I started flipping houses, and my dad was wanting to sell his heating and cooling company, and he did strictly commercial installs. And I said, well, maybe I want to take it over. And
Did
so,
you ever work for your dad in his company before you took it over, or was
no.
are you familiar with any of
Yeah,
it?
I mean, of course, growing up and him owning the company for 25 years, of course, I've heard the terminology. I've heard enough of the stories or situations that were occurring, but nothing as far as the extent of what I'm involved in now.
So, walk me through briefly how you're going to school, you're studying chemical dependency, and thinking you're going to be working with children in the foster care system, and then what? How did you switch gears to where we are now?
So I landed that job in the accounting office, and I, within a year, became the accounting manager in that company. And I developed a passion for accounting and spreadsheets and numbers and really seeing how a business operates behind the scenes. So the wheels that keep it turning. And I got into the flipping houses realm where I was hands-on, sky's the limit, we're going to do this. I'm in control of my own life now type thing. And at the same time where I was, I think, 2 flips in, my dad had said, I think I'm ready to sell. We're going to move to Florida, and that's going to be, him and my mom were going to move to Florida. And I said, I think I want the challenge of taking over your company. What do you think about that? So we had, went back and forth, and he's like, no, I don't want you to deal with what I've had to deal with all these years. It's really
And when
not.
was this in this timeline?
This was the fall, end of summer, beginning of fall of 2015.
Okay.
And so I had created PMA Mechanical LLC, a new company. So everything that had went on under the tax ID in the company, I would be in the know of. And so everything became mine through that. And so the first of 2016, we started the transition, but I wasn't actually in full effect until actually April, May.
Okay.
So exactly, I think we're a little over 2.5 years now from when I first actually took it over.
Okay. And what was that like? How many people did you take over? The same employees? Did you hire new people? How was that transition of ownership?
I actually look back on that transition now, and I am very thankful because I was down to 2 employees after the first 3 months because there was some not kosher stuff going on, and I had started to implement policies and procedures and tracking devices on vehicles, and there was a lot of stuff that was uncovered that needed to be addressed. And so I remember it was my birthday actually, where I was supposed to go away, and all this stuff had went down where we were down to 2 employees, and I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm actually not cut out for this. I have 2 employees. What the heck is gonna happen? I have no idea. And then like not even 30 days later, did like this stuff just start coming at us, and these people just start like we just started connecting with these people. And so we actually grew to 15 employees in 4 months from when that had happened. And we acquired these huge contracts, developers. We had a sales guy in place, and he really helped to establish some of those connections and be out there. And, this is who we are, this is what we offer. And, just kind of seeing the direction. And I always knew right when I took it over that I wanted to figure out how to invade in the residential realm, and in the service and maintenance realm, because my dad did the commercial installs. So when I started to see the potential in the residential service, install, maintenance, but in that regard, I'm like, oh my gosh, this could really go somewhere. But I knew it would actually take the requirements of building a brand, a company, and a reputation. And so there was no web presence, there was no logo, there was no brand. So the last 2 years have really been focused on building a brand, a company, and I forgot to mention the team aspect of it, because I don't think we'd be where we are right now, and I know where we want to be and where we can go if it weren't for the guys that believe in this company and me as their leader and in themselves to be better.
Yeah.
So.
And you have done a ton of branding and marketing. Like, I've been watching your company grow mainly on Instagram, but like in seeing the things that you do as a company and what you stand for, and like even so much like the ways you give back. I know you did a lot during the holidays to give back to families and kids in need, and I think it's really great how you incorporate your business not only on like the customer service, but there's an element, right, of giving back.
It's actually been really cool for me to see my life take a direction of, okay, this is a career, and these are my goals and my missions, but the foster kids and children who need love and children who don't have homes is my passion. And I think that when I have a purpose every day, and then my passion is able to reach that, it's awesome for me.
That's awesome. You are the only woman I know that owns an HVAC company, HVAC, heating and cooling, whatever people call it. What's that like in this industry?
It's actually really crazy. The thing about it is I knew very well before I took this over the competition and the amount of HVAC companies who are out there trying to earn each and every customer there is out there, and how they can, what services they can provide. And I knew that we needed to definitely be able to do something different or add a new mix to it in order to have any kind of shot. Because, I spent a while actually researching our competition and researching the services they provide, or, okay, their maintenance agreement is this and it entails this. And believe it or not, I actually spent a good amount of time looking up their reviews. So I looked up reviews of what people were leaving, or maybe something not good things people were saying, so I could learn ways to where I could learn what other people were doing wrong to make sure we had things in place to make sure we were doing them right.
That is brilliant.
So I actually do that once a month.
Really?
Once a month I go on and I do another sweep through and I look at things. But
that's brilliant.
I think we've been, not only myself, but every single employee at PMA strives for excellence, and it's not something I can achieve because I can lead the team, but I'm ultimately not the one out there in front of the commercial customers or residential customers that's representing the company.
Who represent you.
Exactly. So it's having a team that believes in PMA and the mission and what we're here to do, and actually care about the customer and care about the work that we're doing. It's been like, the commercial realm is absolutely just insane. I don't think it's unfair to say you can get chewed up and spit out really quickly. So it's being really smart, being really organized, and kind of being ahead of the 8 ball on that. In the residential realm, I absolutely love it. It's being able to relate to people, relate to homeowners, and just build the relationship. Don't get me wrong, commercial's the same thing, but the construction industry, I'm sure you can talk to anybody in construction. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I actually love residential because I love every opportunity we get to even just make an impression or build an awareness of, hey, we're PMA, we're here, we're a heating and cooling company, but we're here to put a mix on it and like give you the ultimate customer service experience that you deserve. So,
have you been finding like a lot of pushback from other companies, or are you finding that there's a lot of there's room for everybody, and there's like, I don't know, do you find that you're, I don't know how to say this, but just do you feel like you are like excelling above other companies now that you have all this team, or do you find, I don't know?
Well, I think that there's enough business for everybody to go around, and I don't spend too much time worrying about the competition and us losing business or not. I know that sometimes I get discouraged and then I need to take a few steps back because a lot of those other companies have been around for like a minimum of 30 years. We're 2 years into it, and we are, I'm not trying to sound, no, but we're killing it.
Yeah, you are.
And it's the people in place. I cannot take credit for that stuff. I mean, we're winning these awesome maintenance agreements. We're being able to really meet homeowners where they're at and build relationships in that regard. And I'm excited to see the growth that will happen even over the next 5 years from all the effort that we put into every day and today in the brand and the company that we're creating. When I interview people, it's really easy to find out if they're going to be a fit here or not, because if they're not, like, the whole crew will know within like a day or two. So it's not like I have to sit there and and I make that known in interviews. We're a certain team dynamic here. We're all positive. We all want to get the job done and do it well and do it excellently. And there's values behind this company. And so in that regard, the only, with the competition, I know that there's a lot of eyes on us right now because a lot of people are like, what, PMA took this maintenance agreement from us? Like, what's going on? Who are they?
Yeah, that's awesome. Not every heating and cooling company makes their own ductwork, but you do.
Yep.
Okay, for people who are listening that have no idea what that is, like, 2 seconds, what is ductwork and what do you do here what do you make?
So ductwork is the square or round duct that you see either in the air at restaurants or shopping centers or malls.
It's what carries the
It's what
air
carries
through
the
house.
It's what carries the air from the furnace or the rooftop unit or your condenser outside through your house, which provides you with the comfort that you're looking for by utilizing your thermostat.
Okay, cool. But you make that here.
Yeah. The only thing we don't have the capability to make is the round duct, of course. But there's not a problem with square or rectangular duct. It's actually really cool to be able to manufacture our own duct. We save a lot of money and cut down on costs that way. And we have the ability to where and then in the application setting, when you're installing it, we have the capability for our installers to call in and say, hey, I need this specialty made piece of duct. Can I call it in and get it made and come get it in an hour? Yeah, sure, no problem. So we're actually getting installs done quicker because we have the capability to custom fab a piece of duct to finish an install. So
that's awesome. I guess I didn't, because I'm not familiar with this world, I didn't know like what's common for HVAC companies to make or not make. And yeah, when I was talking to him out there, he's like, most people buy it. There's companies that just make them, but you make them here, which was a really smart decision to keep with this company.
Yeah, it's cool. And I'm glad that everything's under one roof here.
That's awesome. So what's a common misconception about working here or owning a heating and cooling company?
A common misconception. Well, the one that I get most frequently is that, so you're a woman and you own a company where all of your employees are men, and so they're always like, do you even have more knowledge than them, or do they even respect you?
Ridiculous.
And I'm like, well, for one, I'm very knowledgeable when it comes to business, and I said I can't know everything, so I put strategic people in place that help facilitate the operations of the company full circle, and I fully trust the people we have working here, so that's not an issue for me. And then for two is I actually am well respected by all the guys, and if anything, if there's ever any talk, so if they ever go to supply houses or somebody's like, oh, she can't be running that company, or her dad must be running it type thing, they're like, actually, no, Amanda Zara is my boss, and don't talk about her that way. You know what I mean?
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, I don't. The guys, I don't have a problem with them. Yeah, they've got my back, and it's actually they're awesome.
That's awesome. So if somebody owns a home and they are, let's say, their furnace or their boiler, and let's clear one thing up. You really only work on forced air systems, is that correct? Or do you do like hot water systems
We
too?
do hot water. We do everything except for radiant heat and oil furnaces.
Okay. So if somebody has a problem with their furnace or their boiler, and they're calling up a company to come take a look, what are some things that homeowner should be asking the technician or the person coming in to service their furnace or to replace it? Like, what are some common questions that people should be asking?
I'm going to refer to the service aspect of that question that you asked, because I think service is really important.
Sure.
When it comes to maintaining your equipment in the company that you're calling out to service it for you. Something that I'm very passionate about is proper and thorough maintenance. So we run into situations very frequently where somebody might have an emergency service call, or their furnace is down at nighttime, or, they're like, oh my gosh, I just switched it over to cooling and it's not working. Our first question is, well, when was the last time you had it serviced? And so they could say, well, last year. I haven't serviced it in 5 years. Proper service and maintenance is really beneficial to the health and the longevity and the efficiency of your equipment in your home. When it comes in, it's not just filter changes, and it's not just spraying down your outside condenser with water and saying, okay, the coil is clean, we're good for this summer. There's actually a proper cleaner that removes all debris so that the air is not plugged at all when it's flowing through it to cool the air that goes through your duct to your vents in your home. And then in terms of the furnace, there's actually, PMA provides a full checklist of procedures and checklists to where when we're inside your home, we're taking all these readings or putting gauges on your equipment to make sure the readings that are coming off your equipment are reading properly on the scale of what they should be reading. And if they're not, we'll notate to you that, this motor could be a potential problem because it's pulling too high of amps or too little amps. So we're actually able to notify homeowners of problems they might not know because their furnace is functioning fine, but in the future this could be a problem.
That actually happened to one of my clients.
Really?
And it was like calling for heat, and something wasn't happening with the call for heat in the thermostat, and something basically just a fuse blew somewhere, and then it was the dead of winter, and they had already moved, and didn't realize it until it was too late. So it happens.
It's important to make sure, if you're doing the maintenance or if you're hiring a company, to make sure that they provide you with the detailed checklist or their, the summary of the tests and evaluations they did on your equipment.
That's good advice. Because if I hadn't gone through the renovation work that I've gone through in my house, I would know nothing about my furnace. But because I've helped with installing certain things, I have a pretty good idea of how it works. But some people will go into a home or buy a new home or, have no idea what they're looking at, what the emergency shutoffs and all those different things. So
it's important to be knowledgeable about the equipment you have in your home. And there's a statistic, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, but your heating and cooling equipment, to have to replace that, it's one of the I think the second largest investment that you'll have to put back into
your
home,
roof.
other than your roof. So it's important to protect that and to ensure that you're taking the proper steps to maintain it, so you're not in an emergency situation, or you could be prepared, because an HVAC company will also be able to tell you the overall condition of your equipment. And if they're rating your equipment poor, it's time to start budgeting for maybe next season replacing a condenser if you make it through the season.
That's good. So, what's one question that people, I mean, because you're not doing the installs usually, right? Because you're overseeing the whole company. So, as the president of PMA Comfort Solutions, what's a question you get asked the most when you meet people and they're like, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" "Oh, I own a heating and cooling company." What questions
Their question is always, "Well, how the heck did you learn all that?" And my answer to that is, well, it's actually a work in progress, and I've learned so much in 2 years. I was so timid and, so like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have no idea what I'm talking about. People aren't going to take me seriously. My guys aren't going to take me seriously. But it's really diving in and always asking the why, or, okay, well, what does that mean? Or, okay, well, what purpose did that serve? Or can you explain? And so the amount that I've learned in 2 years is absolutely insane. And I continue to learn that much every day. And it's always, even if it's out walking the job sites or if there's a repair that comes up, my guys are actually awesome. And they take time to send, even to Meg. Meg's in charge of the operations executive. And my guys send us pictures and then send us, okay, this is what a bad heat exchanger looks like. The little circle, like this is the crack, or okay, do you see this? This means it's about to be a problem. So they're actually showing us and not just reporting back to us, or they're helping us understand, so that it's not just them informing the customer, but it's all of us knowing. So it's important to keep learning and, just keep growing in the field and in the trade, and the more knowledgeable you get, the more you can continue to learn. So
sounds like you really enjoy the residential side of things, because I think that's a way for you to maybe relate to people on a more personal level.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
I like the residential realm. I'm a little bit of a challenge person. So the challenge that was at hand of obtaining even the first homeowners, the first service call or maybe site survey we ever got to walk into a residential customer's home, I was like, yes, this is awesome. But it's definitely the challenge that was at hand in the fact that, okay, like the phone rings more than 5 times a week now for residential,
That's cool. So I know owning a business is extremely time consuming, but like when you have free time, what do you enjoy doing? You have a family now, so
I recently got married. I have a family now, so honestly, thank you. Honestly, I enjoy driving or being home with my family or being outside doing anything. We recently got a membership to the YMCA, so that's been fun. Yeah, I know.
But no, why?
I know. So it's just, I enjoy being outside a lot. I love watching sunsets. I love driving with the windows down. So.
I'm just looking at the time here. We're almost out of time. Can you touch a little bit more, if you can elaborate on your the like causes that you benefit? Like I know there was like you were doing T-shirts and you were doing a couple other things a few years back to benefit. I think it was during Christmas time. Are you still actively doing that, or is that part of your business?
Yeah, that'll be, I'm going to start that up again this fall, right before Christmas. But the purpose that served was for every T-shirt the first year, and then the second year is for every T-shirt or mug that you purchased. It sponsored a child in foster care that holiday season.
That's right.
And it was actually really cool to see the amount of people that were more than willing to just buy a shirt, and then some people even donated on top of buying shirts for a cause to that effect. And in my opinion, I think any gift anybody could ever give me, like if I got a shirt for Christmas and somebody gave me the shirt and said, hey, this is your Christmas gift, but you actually sponsored a child in foster care. I mean, that's awesome. So it's a gift with a cause, or a purpose with a cause behind it. So
keep me posted on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can let people listening know when we can find out more information. Last question, what do you typically do for lunch?
Oh, lunch. I think that is the area where I struggle the most. I don't have a set lunch schedule. I'm learning how to be better about scheduling in my time. So if I don't bring my lunch, I either am sitting at the conference table and it's like 2:00 and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. I haven't ordered lunch. I'm going to eat now. I'm not even going to be hungry for dinner. So I usually just Grubhub something and they deliver it. But if I do get lunch when I don't bring my lunch, aside from that, I'll go hit up Wired.
Okay.
I absolutely love Wired Albany.
Okay, cool. Where can people find you on social media? And if they live in the Capital District, how can they reach your company to have them look at their furnace?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best spot they can go to is pmacomfort.com. It's got links to our Instagram, our Facebook, our email. You can even chat with us immediately on there, submit your information, and our phone number's on there as well. Okay. So it was pmacomfort.com, or they can always call, which is 518-545-3271.
You got that memorized.
That's right.
We'll have show notes so
Okay.
so people can go to the Working Lunch podcast show notes, and then we'll link to some extra photos and links to more information. Awesome. Yeah, I can hear the
tin.
If you can hear the tin, they're building ducks behind us. So they really do that.
Metal ducks, not little ducks.
Not quacking ducks. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
That was Amanda Zara-Triolo, CEO of PMA Comfort Solutions. Visit pmacomfort.com to learn more about her company. You can follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. We're at Working Lunch Pod. And if there's someone who you would like to be featured as a guest, email us at workinglunchpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, and don't forget to check out our show notes at workinglunchpod.com. Thank you so much for listening to Working Lunch. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. And remember, your biggest strength is who you are.